I want to talk about a clinical framework for nutrition, healing, and longevity, why conflicting advice isn't a problem, and how to think clearly again. If you're watching this, there's a good chance that you feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by nutrition advice that you hear all the time, overwhelmed by podcasts, overwhelmed by very intelligent people saying very different things. I want to start by saying something very clearly. If you feel confused, frustrated, or like you're failing, there's nothing wrong with you. In my office, one of the most common things I hear is, I've tried everything. And often what people really mean is, I've tried everything I was told was supposed to work, and it didn't work. Today, I don't want to give you another diet. Don't want to do that. I don't want to tell you who's right or who's wrong. A lot of people doing that. I want to give you a way of thinking, a critical clinical framework so nutrition, fasting, protein, and longevity start to make sense again. We have a problem with internet medicine. We've made incredible and amazing progress in medicine. We have access to world-class research, podcasts, and scientific discussions right at our fingertips. But there's a gap. Much of what we consume online is medicine without a body attached to it. You'll hear discussions about mouse studies, randomized controlled trials, and molecular pathways. I love that stuff, and all of that matters. But none of that really tells me what to do for the person sitting in front of me with pain, fatigue, digestive issues, autoimmune dysfunction, or metabolic dysfunction. Conventional medicine also tends to divide us into parts. There's a doctor for the gut, there's a doctor for hormones, there's a doctor for joints, there's a doctor for the brain. But your body doesn't work in pieces. It works as one integrated biological system. So let's talk research versus clinical care. There's an important distinction that often gets lost. Research asks what is true on average. Clinical care asks what is true for you right now. Those are very different questions. World-class researchers study mechanisms over decades. Clinicians sit with people whose bodies are struggling today, right now. One role is not better than the other. They're complementary. That's what makes them great. Good research informs care. It does not replace clinical judgment. The problem isn't that experts disagree. The problem is trying to apply one answer to every physiological state. So let's discuss a unifying clinical framework. In our practice, we don't start with, here's your diet. We start with physiology. That's what's most important. Over time, I've come to see healing as moving through 5 clinical phases. When these phases are skipped or ignored, well-intended advice can cause harm. So let's talk about the 5 phases. 5 phases are safety, nourishment, regulation, resilience, and longevity. So let's walk through each of these phases. Phase 1, safety. The first question is not what should you eat, what you should not eat. The first question is, does your body feel safe? If the nervous system is under constant threat, healing does not occur efficiently. Signs of a body that doesn't feel safe include chronic pain, chronic fatigue, poor sleep, high stress, reactive digestion, a history of undereating or overtraining. In this phase, aggressive strategies often backfire. Intermittent fasting may be too much. Calorie restriction can worsen fatigue. Even exercise can become another stressor. Now, this doesn't mean that these tools are bad. It means the timing is wrong. Phase 2, nourishment. Nourishment is not the same as eating clean. Nourishment means meeting the biological demand. I often see people who are working long hours, exercising frequently, under chronic stress, and not eating enough to support any of it. Sometimes the most therapeutic intervention is not restriction, it's nourishment. Protein becomes important here, not as a trend, but as a biological signal. Muscle is a metabolic organ. It stabilizes blood sugar, it supports the immune function, and it protects long-term function. Many people are not failing nutrition plans, they are under-fueling stressed systems. So let's talk phase 3, regulation. Once safety and nourishment are established, the body becomes more adaptable. That's what we're looking for. This is where tools like intermittent fasting may become helpful. But here's a critical concept. Fasting is a stress. Protein need is a signal. The body must be able to interpret those signals correctly. This explains why the same intervention can help one person and harm another. It's not about discipline, it's about readiness. Which brings us to phase 4, resilience. Resilience is capacity. At this stage, energy is more stable, recovery improves, strength increases, symptoms are quieter. This is where resistance training, strategic protein intake, and metabolic flexibility all come together. Longevity without resilience is just surviving longer. We want strength, we want clarity, and most importantly, we want independence. This moves us to phase 5, longevity. Only now does the longevity conversation truly belong. Longevity is not one diet, it's the ability to move between states, to build when needed, to repair when needed. Growth pathways are not the enemy, they are essential. The mistake is turning tools into rules. There is no universal longevity diet because there is no universal physiology. Now, this framework applies whether you're dealing with digestive issues, cardiometabolic disease, autoimmune conditions, chronic fatigue, or chronic pain. What I see repeatedly is this, and we see this in the office a lot. People with very different diagnoses making the same physiological mistake. They apply optimization strategies to a dysregulated system. A person with metabolic disease jumps straight into fasting while stress hormones are already elevated. A person with autoimmune disease restricts aggressively while the immune system is already hyperreactive. A person with chronic fatigue keeps pushing when energy systems are depleted. Different diagnoses, same underlying issue. Disease names may differ, but physiology follows the same set of rules. Individualization isn't about being special, it's about timing. That's what's most important. So I want to leave you with this. Most people are not broken, not at all. They're a mismatch to the advice they've been given or heard. Healing isn't about finding the perfect protocol. It's about understanding where your body is now, and taking the right next step at the given time. There is nuance in health. There is timing in healing. And there is always hope. If nothing else, I want you to hear this. You are not failing. You're not failing at all. Your body has been asking a different question. And real care begins by listening. Until next time, stay healthy and strong, and I'll see you soon.